I do not believe these peace talks will work. And I hate to be the pessimist, but Hamas isn't even there. Do you think they're going to yield anything?
Yeah, I'm kind of pessimistic myself. I'll tell you why. I think that Mr. Sinwar wants a war between Israel, Iran, and Hezbollah. Think about what that does for him. That means it draws the Israeli army out of Gaza up north. The world comes down on Israel like another ton of bricks, drains Israel's resources. America will pressure Israel. A war between Israel, Iran, and Hezbollah is just what Hamas needs. And all he has to do is not show up to peace talks. It's great because the only reason he would show up to peace talks is if Israel was willing to declare that the war was over, withdraw from Gaza, and withdraw from the Philadelphia route so they continue the smuggling Egypt. Basically, Hamas wins entirely. If he's not going to get that, why would he give up solid assets? It's terrible to refer to hostages as solid assets, but that's what they are from Hamas's perspective. He won't give them up. So insofar as Hezbollah and Iran have said, if there's a ceasefire, we'll have a ceasefire. Hamas doesn't give them a ceasefire. It gets a war, it wins. So I agree with you.
Dr. Oren, I'm going to play opposite your picture some B-roll. The Hezbollah terrorist organization released overnight a 5-minute B-roll, which is kind of ominous. I'm not going to play the music. The translation, it's all underground tunnels, and they put to shame the Hamas tunnels. And it's cut number, Harley, if you want to roll cut number 48 right now, you can roll that. It's very ominous. It's very dark. It's lots of terrorists. It's lots of rockets. But then I see you've got a new Free Press column this morning calling for a preemptive strike on Hezbollah. I think they put out propaganda like this. Keep rolling it, Harley. What do you think should happen? What should Netanyahu do?
Well, eventually, I don't see how we don't come to blows with Hezbollah. Think about this. Right? Even if there's a ceasefire tomorrow, Hezbollah doesn't move away from the fence. On October 6th, Hezbollah was right up against the fence. Now we have 100,000 Israelis who have been displaced from their home by Hezbollah rockets, and they are not going home if the status quo ante is restored, which is Hezbollah's along the fence, because we now know what terrorists can do to our civilians if they're along the fence. So how are you going to push them back? So you've got an American diplomat, Amos Hochstein, running around Beirut trying to convince Hezbollah to withdraw under Israeli fire at this. Without having much leverage. America doesn't have much leverage in Lebanon. And if that doesn't work, and I really don't see how it could, what choices Israel have, really? How do you not lose the northern part of the country? And if you lose the northern part of the country, believe me, you lose the rest of the country.
No, so, Michael, you can't see
the question is, who strikes first? Who strikes first? That's the only question.
And it should be, when people see this video, which Hezbollah put out there, I want them to believe it. It could be CGI, I don't know. But they show tunnels with jeeps and trucks running around and motorcycles and dozens of troops that are heavily armored. Do you believe it?
Of course. Hezbollah taught Hamas has big tunnels. But the big difference, Lebanon is made of rock. Gaza is made of sand. So these tunnels are under rock, solid rock. They have some Chinese tunnel digging technology, like Roto-Rooter, and on a major scale. And, yeah.
And, people are watching on the Salem News Channel. This is not like a 6-foot tunnel. And what you just said, the Hezbollah tunnels we've seen have been primitive but effective. The Hezbollah tunnels are like the tunnels we drive through on the Lincoln Tunnel. That's what we've got going on. How is Israel going to handle that?
With massive firepower. Listen, what they don't have that Hamas has, right, is hostages. And October 7th, we could have gone into Gaza and filled up 400 kilometers of tunnels with gasoline and thrown in a match. Keep in mind, right? So we can't do that because of hostages. But, that would be the technology. You don't have to actually go in there.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually had not thought about that. They can destroy tunnels. They can suck the air out of it. That's right. That's right.
Air, Karen, you put gas wherever you want in there. Everything in there is dead. We don't have to worry about that because there's no Israelis in there. So our big problem is we can't rule out the possibility that they still have tunnels under our border. We can't. I remember I was in the service, I was in the reserves earlier this month, and the Israelis up in the north who've stayed there all believe that there are tunnels still under our border.
I thought Israel had the technology to discover those, Dr. Oren.
Yeah, so did I. So did I. And probably because they're so deep and in rock and not in the sand. That makes it so problematic.
Well, that argues for a strike, doesn't it? Because if you retreat back, they will do a 10-7. It will be a different date in infamy as opposed to striking. Now, let me play for you something Donald Trump said last night. Cut number 47 at Bedminster.
As our close ally confronts a savage terrorist enemy hell-bent on extremism, really, and the extermination of the Jewish state, which is what they want. It says it all the time. We will totally eradicate Israel. They say that. The leaders of Iran say it, and others in the Middle East say it. We must stand with our friend and partner, the state of Israel. We will, strongly.
I know you don't want to do partisan politics, but is the rhetoric of the two parties, are Israelites who are not like you aware of the distinction between the parties in America when it comes to being Zionist?
Oh, they're very aware. They're hyper aware. Israelis follow American news very, very carefully. And so that will, his remarks will make pretty front page news.
It was unqualified. So I want to close by asking this. Iran has been rattling its saber for a long time. Mm-hmm. Do you expect them to actually take it out? Because I don't think Netanyahu will hold back this time if they hit you again.
I hope not. I hope not. And, I've long been an advocate of the dirty Harry approach to Iran. And I know we're both of a certain generation, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It's go ahead, pull the trigger, make my day.
Okay, I lied. I have one more question. I keep telling people I'm going to do it for 85 days. There are three issues in the American presidential election: inflation, immigration, aka the border, and the Israel-Iran conflict, because Hezbollah and Hamas are just cat's paws. Do you think the Israel issue will play a significant role in the American election?
It will play significant. I don't know if it's going to be up there with immigration and abortion and inflation, but it's certainly there. And it's going to be more there once the Democratic National Convention convenes and the protesters show up en masse. Once the protesters show up now on campuses, we had the Columbia president resigning this week because she couldn't face the prospect of dealing with these protesters again. Basically paralyzing American higher education. It's going to be there. And these protesters, even though they represent a fraction of the students in the United States, have an out of size gravitational impact on the Democratic Party and on American politics.